Welcome to the online class, students. Today we can see the special device, namely Programmable Logic Controller, that is PLC, which can extensively used in manufacturing and automation. The main purpose is to monitor the crucial process parameters to adjust the process operations accordingly. And also it is designed to survive the harsh conditions, and also it helps us to shield from heat, dust and moisture. Next is the introduction. It is a digitally operating electronic device which has internal memory to store the instructions to execute the operations like timings, counting, sequencing through the analog and digital input model. Next is the PLC hardware components. We have several hardware components involved in the PLC. The first one is the input module, CPU, memory, output module, power supply, programming device, and finally the communication channel or bus. In the communication channel or bus, we have a data bus, control bus, address bus, and system bus. Next is the architecture of PLC. In the architecture of PLC, we have three core modules, that is input module, CPU and the output modules. This input and output modules is known as the IO modules. In the information is passed in and out of the PLC through this IO modules only. And in the input modules, we have terminals through which the electrical signals are generated from the sensors or transducers that is passed to this input modules, and from the output modules, even the output modules also we have terminals. From the output modules, the output signals are sent in order to activate the solenoids or transducers, sorry, not transducer, solenoids or actuator or even motors or display, etc. So these are the operation of input and output modules, and also we have the CPU. This is the brain of the PLC. So this CPU carries a logical operations like addition, subtraction, all these things will happen in this CPU, and we have a memory also, and we have the power supply. This PLC will actually acts in the constant voltage and current, so that this PLC is having the inbuilt of voltage converting power supply. So these are the architecture. This is the architecture of PLC. Next, we can discuss about the input module. In the input modules have different terminals. The terminals may be the number of 4, 8, 12 or 6. So this input terminals have some input sensing elements. Nothing but it will generate the electrical signals are generated from the sensors or transducers that will be given as an input to the input modules. The main operation of input module is to convert analog to digital, because the electrical signals that are generated from the sensors or transducers are analog in nature, but CPU, it is given to the processor, right? But the CPU cannot able to understand the analog language, so that input module help us to convert the analog to digital. How this operation has happened in the input module means, this PB is nothing but is a switch. Once the switch is closed, you can see here, once the switch is closed, switch such as PB1 was closed, and the AC voltage was impressed on the input module, that would internally provide a conversion to a digital signal, that is 1 or 0, as required by the absolutely a computer based PLC processing unit. And this LS1 and LS2 is also a switch which is connected to the common terminals, and we have 3 channels. So that's all about the operation of input module. Is mainly used to convert the analog to digital. Next is your output module. It receives the input from the processor, and also the processor output is nothing but my 0 and 1, because it is digital format, 0 or 1. This output modules also have the terminals, and this output module is mainly used to activate the systems like transducer or actuators, motors or display, etc. These are the systems it will activate. by the output module. As I already told, it receives the digital signal is nothing but 0 or 1. Once it receives the 1, it makes the system in on condition. Once it receives the 0, once it receives the 0 digital signal, it switch off all the systems. That is the ultimate operation of output module. So next is your processor. Processor is nothing but your central processing unit. It is a brain of the PLC. It can perform or it can carry out the mathematical and logical operations. The CPU processes the data received from the input module, and process is done by instructions stored in the memory as well as in the program format. This is operation of CPU, and also it can only perform one operation at a time. So these are the main important points in the CPU. Thank you, students. That's all about the PLC.